What's good? It's Woog. The 2025 Grammy nominations are in, and I just wanted to give a quick reaction, an immediate reaction to some of these nominees, especially in the four major categories. Those major categories being Record of the Year, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, and Best New Artist. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the genre-specific categories as well. In the Album of the Year category, which I view as the most important, the biggest and most meaningful Grammy category, where Taylor Swift just became the all-time leader in wins in that category. She, when she had won the previous time, I'm talking before Midnights, she was tied with Paul Simon, I think Frank Sinatra, and Stevie Wonder with 3 wins in the category. And then when she won with Midnights, she became the sole leader in wins in the Album of the Year category. And she's nominated here again with the Tortured Poets Department. So she can further pull away. She could conceivably win her 5th Album of the Year Grammy. And look, I'm not a Taylor Swift hater at all. In fact, really, it was my younger brother who was convincing me that her earlier work, Speak Now, Fearless, when those albums were dropping, he was a huge fan. It took me until maybe Red era to get on board. But look, I'm a big fan of the Folklore album. But for Taylor to win a 5th Album of the Year Grammy, further pulling away from anybody who's ever recorded music ever, that would be a bit wild, especially because, like Midnights, the Tortured Poets Department wasn't nearly as critically acclaimed as some of her other work. So we'll see how they vote on that one. But the other Album of the Year nominees were Andre 3000 with New Blue Sun. I was blown away to see that nomination. Look, when he, one half of Outkast, dropped that ambient album, that ambient jazz album, I actually did a video saying, I hope that somebody as high profile as Andre 3000 dropping an ambient album. Now, other artists do that, like they'll specialize in something else, like Sufjan Stevens has dropped an ambient album. Trent Reznor or 9 Inch Nails, their recent music has been ambient music, and a lot of artists will dabble in the ambient space. But because it was getting so much attention because people been yearning for another Outkast album, which might never come. I mean, the last Outkast album was like 2003. So 20 years later, Andre 3000 comes back, not with a hip hop or rap album, but with this ambient jazz New Blue Sun, where he's playing an assortment of different flutes and he's backed by some, ambient adjacent production. So a lot of people who want him to rap more, they were kind of clowning the whole jazz movement, like him going to something that was totally different. And it kind of became a play on the Key and Peele skit about Outkast and Andre 3000. But here we are with Andre 3000 being nominated for Album of the Year with New Blue Sun, an album that I enjoyed. I liked that album. Now, I listened to a lot of other ambient music, like, The Orb just dropped. In the jazz realm, Greg Folk just dropped. You've got a lot of ambient and jazz music, good stuff being released right now. But with Andre 3000 being nominated here, I hope that it does spotlight the genre as a whole. And so if people start listening to Andre 3000's New Blue Sun, for instance, on Spotify, that they start getting recommendeds like, if you like this, you might like that. And then you get exposed to other really cool ambient jazz artists. So yeah, I was really surprised. You see me rocking the Outkast tee right now. I did not expect to see Andre 3000's New Blue Sun nominated here. Beyonce Cowboy Carter was nominated. I saw that Cowboy Carter's also nominated in the Best Country Music Album, which I was wondering if she was going to be nominated there. And I saw that Post Malone's country album was also nominated there. So I'm wondering if Beyonce and Post Malone occupy 2 of the nominations in Best Country Album. What does that say about the current state of country music? Not to say that those are bad albums, but you've got tons of people making country music not named Beyonce and Post Malone, but I mean, their star power, their name recognition, I'm sure that went a long way to get them nominated in that category. But Beyonce is nominated here. A lot of people thought that she might have won Album of the Year with her last album, Renaissance, which is one of her best albums. And Beyonce, for all the star power and all the accomplishments and everything like that, she has never won an Album of the Year Grammy Award. So this is another opportunity for, really the Recording Academy to vote her album to win album of the year for the first time. So Cowboy Carter nominated here, and songs from Cowboy Carter are nominated elsewhere, like in record of the year, song of the year, like Texas Hold'em specifically nominated for record of the year and song of the year. Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet is nominated for album of the year. She's had a blow up year, right? She's up for best new artist. Espresso is up for record of the year and I believe song of the year. Actually, no, it's Please 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 from Sabrina Carpenter that's nominated for song of the year, and Espresso is nominated for record of the year, but her album Short and Sweet nominated for album of the year, and again she's up for best new artist. So she's got that Billie Eilish chance of sweeping like Billie Eilish did in 2020. Charlie XCX Brat is nominated for album of the year, and I really think that Brat might be the look, it should be the favorite because of how viral its themes went and how certain songs like 360 from the album were received. Look, I know Sabrina Carpenter's had a huge year. I know Beyonce is a megastar. I know Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift are Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift, but Charlie XCX caught absolute fire, and I feel like I heard more talk about Brat and more energy and engagement around Brat than I did any other album here. Even though when Beyonce dropped Cowboy Carter, and obviously when Taylor Swift drops anything, it's a mega deal. I get that, but it was a Brat summer, you know what I mean? So we'll see if she wins with Brat or any of the songs from Brat. Jacob Collier, he is up with Jess Volume 4. The Jess Volume 2 and 3, they've been Grammy nominated before, so he's no stranger to Grammy nominations, but he's not a name that has that same recognition as some of the other names that you're hearing up for album of the year. But his music among like industry professionals and insiders and stuff, like people respect him and his craft, his songwriting, his production, and so forth. So yeah, give Jess Volume 4 a listen if you're not familiar with Jacob Collier. But yeah, he's nominated here with that album. And then you've got Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. Look, she's been on a tear since she hit the scene with first the EP, and then when we go to sleep, Where Do We Go, that album with Bad Guy and so forth. And then she obviously had one of her biggest breakthrough singles, not a breakthrough, she had broken through well before, but one of her biggest singles from that Barbie soundtrack, which won awards last year. That was one of the biggest songs of last year. What Was I Made For? That song's not featured on this Hit Me Hard and Soft, but the song Birds of a Feather is, and Birds of the Feather is up for record of the year and song of the year. So Billie Eilish is up for an award in those three major categories. Again, record of the year, album of the year, song of the year. As is Taylor Swift, by the way, with Fortnite, which is up for record of the year and song of the year, and then the album, The Tortured Poets Department. So Taylor's up for all three of those, as is Beyonce with Texas Hold'em in the song categories, and then Cowboy Carter in the album category. And then, as I mentioned, as is Sabrina Carpenter, whereas Charlie XCX 360 is up for record of the year, but not song of the year. I don't think Charlie XCX is up for anything song of the year, but her album Brat is up for album of the year. And then you've got Chappell Roan, who's had a huge year as well. She was had a SNL performance like some of these other nominees have, but she had an album called Chappell Roan, The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. Her imagery, some of her themes are a little bit controversial. She's kind of like a cutting edge pop artist right now, and she's up for some major awards, including this album of the year award. Her song Good Luck Babe is up for record of the year and song of the year. So you've got a lot of the song of the year nominees who are also featured in album of the year. Same thing with record of the year, also nominated in album of the year. Some of the exceptions are Shabuzi, a bar song, Tipsy. He's up for like song of the year, but not anything for album of the year. And then you've got Kendrick Lamar, who I think dropped the biggest song of 2024 in his beef with Drake. It was kind of the last of a series of Drake diss songs from Kendrick Lamar. It was Not Like Us. Unlike the other diss songs, this one went totally pop radio. It became the zeitgeist of not only rap culture but pop culture throughout America. It was huge. You heard it playing in stadiums, at parties, and in bars, on TV. Like, it was all over the place. Like, even in environments where you would not expect to hear it, you would hear either the beat or you would hear the track. You see TikTok dance. You saw all kinds of energy around Not Like Us. It was kind of the nail in the coffin in that particular battle, really. I mean, Kendrick Lamar had a concert here on Juneteenth. It was at the Kia Forum in Inglewood, and he did like 8 encores of Not Like Us. It was absolute madness. Not Like Us was mega. I truly believe it should win either Record of the Year or Song of the Year. That song, Not Like Us, should not get shut out this year. Just my personal opinion. So yeah, that's a little bit about those, first 3 major categories. And then for Best New Artist, you've got Benson Boone, Sabrina Carpenter, Doechii, Khruangbin, which there's always an artist where I'm like, damn, they're a new artist. Khruangbin's had like a few albums now. They were performing at Coachella several years ago. They performed at Coachella a couple times now. Khruangbin's been a thing for a minute, but here, there's different thresholds that meet Best New Artist standards. So I guess, according to the Recording Academy, they still qualify as a new artist. So they're one of the nominees. Ray, Chappell Roan, Shaboozey, and Teddy Swims. If I had to just kind of gut instinct go with a pick here, I think it's going to be Sabrina Carpenter. I do like that Doechii is up for Best Rap Album. She's a very talented MC, and I'm glad that she got this recognition with that Alligator album, and she's up for Best Rap Album. That's pretty cool. The Producer of the Year category, where Jack Antonoff is now a 3-time consecutive winner of the award. So he's tied with David Foster, the late great Quincy Jones, who just passed away like a week ago. Rest in peace, Quincy Jones. And Pharrell Williams. They all have 3. There's only one person who's got more than all of them, and that's Babyface with 4 wins in Producer of the Year. But this year's nominees include Alicia, who's done work with Jamila Woods and Ray Khalil. You've got D-Mile, who, usually works with artists like Her and Bruno Mars and others. This year he worked with Lucky Day, the Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars song, Die With a Smile, which is up for an award. He worked with Usher. He worked with Victoria Monet on her Star Wars Acolyte song, Power of Two. So D-Mile added again. And he was nominated in the last 2 years, but didn't win either. Again, Jack Antonoff is the running 3-time consecutive champion. Then you got Ian Fitchuk, who's worked with Beyonce, Casey Musgraves, Maggie Rogers. He's worked with a lot of different artists, Leon Bridges. You got Mustard, who produced Not Like Us, that Kendrick Lamar song that better win one of those awards, Record of the Year or Song of the Year. Mustard also worked with Travis Scott. He released his own album, Faith of a Mustard Seed, so he's up for Producer of the Year. Then you've got Daniel Nigro, who usually works with Olivia Rodrigo. This year he produced the Chappell Roan album, so there you go. That's his big calling card. And there was a Hunger Games Olivia Rodrigo song, Can't Catch Me Now. So yeah, Daniel Nigro. If I had to go with the gut instinct, I think I would go with either D-Mile or Daniel Nigro. One of them two, I'm thinking. And just a quick note about Best Rock Album. You've got the Black Crowes, Fontaines DC, Green Day, Idols, Pearl Jam, Rolling Stones, and Jack White. Jack White's album was phenomenal. I was hoping to see it up in the Album of the Year category, but that was kind of a long shot. So he's up for Best Rock Album. But you look at categories like these, and I just wish they didn't go with some of the oldest, most lazy picks. Nothing against Pearl Jam and Green Day, but you mean to tell me the best of the early 90s is still the best rock that's taking place in 2024? I mean, you've got the Rolling Stones, who had their best days in the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, and they are up for Best Rock Album in 2024. I mean, hats off to them that they're still, doing it. But I mean, you would think that you could use your imagination when nominating some of these rock albums, And then you've got Best Alternative Music Album, which is one of my favorite because alternative music basically extends to everything, indie related, true alternative. You've got grunge, you've got indie soul, electronic pop. You've got all kinds of variations, blues rock, folk rock. You've got all kinds of different subgenres. And this year you've got Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds album. You've got Claro. She's had a big year. Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth had a very industrial, almost trap industrial album called The Collective. Very interesting album. I was happy to see that one nominated here. You've got Brittany Howard, formerly of Alabama Shakes, with her album What Now? That one has a couple really good songs. I didn't love the album, but I loved a few moments from the album. And Brittany Howard, I always thought and still think that she's got one of the most magnificent voices in all of music. And then you've got St. Vincent, who's already won twice in this category. This category's biggest winners are Beck, Radiohead, and the White Stripes, who have 3 wins. St. Vincent is tied for second with Coldplay and Vampire Weekend with 2 wins. She has a chance here of becoming a 3-time Best Alternative Music Album winner. And you know, I like the St. Vincent album, but I can't say that this latest one, All Born Screaming, was in my top 3 for her. I think I prefer Strange Mercy. I think I prefer her self-titled album, and I prefer her last album, Daddy's Home. I like those 3 more than All Born Screaming, but I'll give it another listen. You know, there are a lot of snubs when it comes to a lot of these categories, but especially in alternative music. So much music, good music is released. You've got Hooray for the Riff Raff. You've got Magdalena Bay. How are they not nominated in any of these, you know, major or, you know, alternative based categories? Magdalena Bay had a tremendous album. Christopher Owens of Girls came back with what I thought was one of the best albums of the year. You've got so many different potential nominees that could be up for this award, but you know, I'm not mad at these. I mean, Nick Cave, I mean, yes, he's more of an older artist who's been around for a long time, but he still drops album after album, super high quality, period. And then you had Adrienne Lenker, who I was expecting to see in the alternative category. You know, her band Big Thief usually is, but she was actually nominated in the folk category with her album this year. I was pretty happy with that, and I was happy to see the Jillian Welch and David Rawlings album nominated in the folk category. But yeah, Adrienne Lenker, her band is usually nominated alternative or even rock, but usually alternative, but she on this last solo album nominated folk. I was wanting to see Waxahachie with her latest album nominated in one of these either folk or alternative categories, but she, who, you know, I thought she had a tremendous moment, and especially with that song with MJ Lenderman, I thought that might be in one of the song categories, but no, I don't see Waxahachie nominated here this year. And then a quick word about best rap album nominees. You've got J. Cole with Might Delete Later. J. Cole famously pulled out of the Kendrick, Drake, and Cole battle, and it became a Drake versus Kendrick thing, even though Drake was dissing other people as well, like Future and so forth. But J. Cole, Might Delete Later, he removed the song that was kind of like a low-key diss, not as venomous as things would become as the battle between Drake and Kendrick Lamar would move forward. But he had a song, J. Cole had a song from Might Delete Later removed from like Spotify. Then you've got Common and Pete Rock joining forces with The Auditorium Volume 1. This was a lot of people were saying, should like older folk rap, right? Grown rap from Common, who's like, you know, been around since the early 90s. Pete Rock's been around since the beginning of the 90s with Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Should there be an older rapper category like contemporary hip hop or something like that? Or should they just lump it in with, you know, today's rap where you see a lot more trap style rap and just, you know, more of the modern style? Should there be like a traditional rap category that stands alone and you could have some of these legacy acts, if you will? But yeah, I was happy to see Common and Pete Rock nominated here with The Auditorium Volume 1. I really enjoyed that album. As I had mentioned, Doechii with Alligator Bites Never Heal nominated here. One of the best, brightest, new-ish rappers in the game. You've got Eminem with The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace. Look, Eminem lyrically is still in another galaxy. Tremendous. He's hit and miss with some of his songs, some of the production, some of the beats, some of the choruses, but in terms of those verses and his lyrics, still as great as ever. I mean, he's in another stratosphere right now. Check that one out if you haven't. Conceptually, it's kind of interesting. He's killing out the Slim Shady character, and he's kind of arguing with himself throughout the album. Very creative stuff, tremendous lyrics, and he's up for Best Rap Album. And then Future and Metro Boomin are up with We Don't Trust You, where that kind of kicked off the whole Drake and Kendrick battle, because there was a song like that featured Kendrick Lamar where he really started firing some of the first shots of that battle. But yeah, if I had to go with a gut guess, and I will do preview videos as we near the date of the Grammy ceremony, but just kind of earliest thoughts here, I would go with either Eminem or Common and Pete Rock. I kind of hope Common and Pete Rock pull it off like Nas did a couple years ago with, I think, King's Disease 2, or was it 1? I think he won it with King's Disease 2, but Eminem wins a lot of these awards. If you look at like the most winningest rap albums ever, Eminem is like at the top. So I would not be surprised if he wins Best Rap Album here. In fact, I think I'm going to lean in that direction, even though I don't know, will the Recording Academy back Eminem in 2024 with this album? If he doesn't win, then I think it would either be Look, it would be kind of cool if the underdog here, Doechii, wins it, but I kind of think it might even be Common and Pete Rock with the Auditorium. But let me know if you think that Cole, Future, or Doechii are gonna win this one. And then I'm just gonna fire off some quick guesses for record of the year. By the way, the Beatles, Now and Then. People didn't even really like that song. I love the Beatles, one of my favorite bands ever. I think that they are the greatest band of all time, period. Their catalog is tremendous, and it was only through like 63 to 70 when they were, recording and releasing music as the Beatles, and they have written like the canon of 60s pop music. It's crazy. It's songs that still that age well too. I love the Beatles. But for Now and Then, that was kind of where they use AI to bring John Lennon's vocals back. It was a song that was a work in progress, and it was completed with the help of Giles Martin. That's the son of the Beatles producer, George Martin, along with Paul McCartney and others. But they use AI to bring that, Now and Then song to completion. Even though, again, the reaction to the song, it was kind of like, not John's best stuff. I don't think he would have necessarily even wanted that out there. I don't know, but I don't think they're going to win record of the year, or at least they shouldn't in this case. Look, there were way better songs from Beyonce's Cowboy Carter than Texas Hold'em. I get that was one of the early singles, but I don't think that's going to win record of the year. I think it's either going to be Sabrina Carpenter's Espresso, Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather, which was one of the best songs from Billie Eilish's newest song, or Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us. Even though, look, I'm never surprised if Taylor Swift wins. So if her song with Post Malone, Fortnite, wins, I would not be surprised. But if I had to guess on one, I wanted to... Look, if Not Like Us, it should be Not Like Us, record of the year, not song of the year, because song of the year is a different criteria, but I think that Not Like Us should be record of the year. But I think that the winner is going to be Billie Eilish with Birds of a Feather. I don't think it's going to be Taylor Swift in this case. I don't think it's going to be Charlie XCX with 360, Beyonce with Texas Hold'em, or Sabrina Carpenter with Espresso, even though that song went crazy viral this year. I think it should be Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us, but I think it will be Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather. But again, I'm going to do full previews of these different categories as the weeks go on. Album of the year, is it finally going to be Beyonce? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be Andre. Again, I'm surprised that it's nominated. I love it, but I'm surprised. I don't think it's going to be Jacob Collier. Will Charlie XCX win it with Brat? Taylor Swift can't win it again with the Torture Poets Department. Chaperone. You know what? I think it might be Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft. I don't think it's her best album. I like both of her prior albums more than this one, but I kind of think that Billie Eilish or Charlie XCX with Brat is going to win this one. It probably should be Brat. But I think it's going to go to Billie Eilish. And then with Song of the Year, I think that it's either going to be Taylor Swift and Post Malone's Fortnite, Billie Eilish's Birds of a Feather. Is it going to be Shaboozey, a bar song? No, because that was kind of like a clever cover off of the T-Pain song. And I think that Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars's Die With a Smile has a good chance of winning it this year. But I think Chaperone, Good Luck Babe. I think Chaperone, I think she's going to get shut out of the major categories, but it's cool that she appeared in several of them. I think it's going to be Fortnite, Taylor Swift and Post Malone, Fortnite. I think that's going to win Song of the Year. If it's not that one, I think it's going to either be Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile, or Billie Eilish, Birds of a Feather. So yeah, those are some of my early thoughts on these Grammy nominees. Let me know some of your thoughts in the major categories and in the genre specific categories. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.